Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate?
Welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Today we radiate happiness with Stephani Grace, the author of Creating Real Happiness, A to Z, a mindful guide to discovering, loving, and accepting your true self. I'm so happy to have you on here, Stephani. It's been a while that we've been planning this, and I've been really looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love connecting with like-minded people and talking about my passion. So excited.
Well, and you come from O Books, the imprint of John Hunt Publishing. Many of the guests on this show are, not all, of course, but just such quality publishing and such a great cadre of fantastic authors like yourself with great messages. So congratulations on your book, Real Happiness.
Thank you.
Yes. Why did you think that we needed to have a book about happiness?
Well, the reason why my book's called Real Happiness is because I often think that people think that happiness is based on external things, even things like relationships will make them happy. But my book is about real happiness, which comes from internal, not external.
Right. So how do we create that real happiness then?
Yeah. So creating real happiness is, first of all, about remembering who you are. It's about remembering that you're your true self and not your conditioning. So a lot of times people are walking around thinking that they are the conditioning that they've received from their parents or the world. And the conditioning develops into this ego that is often not very friendly. And it's developed to keep you safe in the world, to help you get your needs met and be accepted. But really, that isn't your truth. And so finding real happiness first is about understanding that that conditioned self isn't you. So freedom from the conditioned mind, and then cultivating a relationship with your true self, and then being able to honor it.
Right. So how do you tell the difference between the conditioned self and the authentic self?
Yeah, good question. How do you tell the difference is if you are not truly happy and you don't feel like you are worthy of all that you desire, then you can know that your ego is at work in some way. So your true self is nothing but love and will never be unkind or mean to you. Whereas your ego, if you're in your conditioned mind, your ego, your thoughts are going to feel not good, unkind. You're not going to, even though you might have an inkling or a knowing like, I'm lovable, I deserve to have the life I want, you're not really going to be able to fully access it for some reason. You're always going to get pulled off by something that like your doubts or, getting upset at yourself. Those kinds of things will continue to pull you off.
Right. I see. Now, did you come into this knowing what happiness was, or did you discover it as you wrote, perhaps?
Oh, okay. So yeah, definitely came into the book knowing, but in my life this has been part of, my lifelong journey has been finding real happiness for myself, so yeah. So through the work of, my own life, I come from a pretty, difficult childhood and background, which allowed me to, have to do a lot of work to figure out that I wasn't my conditioned self and to begin to develop a relationship with my true self and to learn what real happiness was. And so figuring out ways to do that, sharing them with my clients, seeing my clients thrive, and then deciding, okay, this is something I want to reach more people with. I want people to truly be happy and know their true selves, and I don't want people walking around thinking their conditioned self is their truth.
Yes. And so you are a counselor. You work with clients on this. Yeah.
I'm a therapist. Yeah, I'm like a marriage and family therapist, or here in Oregon, it's called a licensed professional counselor. Yeah.
It's an LPC. Mm-hmm.
LPC.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the A to Z part. Why did you choose to write it as an A to Z?
Yeah. So what I've found in my work with people is that people get pretty easily overwhelmed. And in order for people to be able to make change, we have to be able to present it to them in a way where it feels easy and approachable. And so when I wanted to reach more people with my message, I thought to myself, okay, this has to be something where people see it and it feels like, oh, that seems really approachable and easy. And I can read that. I can digest these. And so my idea for A to Z was like breaking it up into really small pieces and making it very friendly so that anyone, even people who've been on the path, and they feel like they've done this work, that anybody would find it appealing and fun to just go in and dive in. No threats here at all.
And I like that your book has like exercises and action points. Why did you build that in?
Yeah, well, that is how I work as a therapist too. I always tell people in the very beginning when they come to me, like, be prepared to work because I give you homework every single time. Because what I believe is that, if practice is the most important part, and I know it's scary for people, but if you want things to be different, then you have to be willing to do something differently. And so, and the way that I, have just added these little exercises or practices, it's just so people can experiment with these different things that I've included, and hopefully they'll find some that resonate for them, and then they can make that a part of their daily practice, because you do have to find things that you can do consistently so that they remain a part of your practice to keep you on the path. Our world is such like it's just, if we don't have things that inspire us and keep us on our path, we will get pulled off. There's no question. Yeah. No question. Right.
Right. Did you grow up just knowing that happiness was a choice, that you could direct your own happiness?
No. I'll elaborate on that. I grew up I had a really challenging childhood with a family that, had their own difficulties in terms of, came from family where they didn't get the love and care they needed. And so in return, I didn't get the love or the care that I needed. And so, I really went on this journey of having to, first of all, begin to learn that I was lovable and worthy of love, and that my needs were, are important. And then as I, went on my own journey of discovering this for myself and learned how to find happiness, that was sort of what led me to becoming a counselor, is, my own journey of spirituality and finding happiness in my own life and healing. Then I wanted to share it with people. And so started working with people as a counselor and helping to heal people and create happiness. And then from there, I thought, okay, I have to find a way to make this available to a larger population. So that was my idea, to then put it into a book.
Great idea. Great idea. And so with your family though, have you been able to kind of heal that and be happy given the family situations?
Yeah, I really understand. So like there are a few parts to forgiveness that I understand. It's like the first is really coming to learn your own lovability and worth. So once we really know that on our own, like know that nothing external determines our lovability or worth, then from there, we can begin to understand that how people show up for us isn't about us, it's about them. So it's like, once I was able to love and know my worth for myself, then I could begin to know that how my parents showed up for me really wasn't about me. It wasn't personal, even though obviously it feels very personal. It was about their conditioning and their abilities, and it really had nothing to do with me. And so that piece, and then the other piece is empathy. It's like understanding what their life was like. So it's the question that I can ask, or have other people ask, is like, why do they show up in that way? Or why couldn't they show up in that way? And so being able to understand where they come from and why they show up the way they do allows us to know more so that it's really not about us, right?
It's not, yeah. And along the same token, forgiveness is a big part of your book.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to talk about how forgiveness is really such an important aspect of self-love,
Oh, in what way? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, really, if we're not able to forgive someone and we're holding on to resentment or pain around that, that's in our body. We're holding that. And so that's impacting how we feel. The different things that we hold on to in our body create blocks. And then those blocks sort of take up space. And then the world kind of acts like a mirror in terms of bouncing off of that. And it sort of hinders our perspective in the world, right? And so if we clear those blocks out, we're making space for higher level emotions like love and joy. And we are more free to have an open perspective. And it really shifts how we are in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that is a big part of happiness as you define it. Yeah. And you also, in your book, you cover depression and anxiety, which I think that it's hard to just envision happiness when we're in the depths of depression and anxiety, that it doesn't seem attainable at all. So how do you address that in your book?
Yeah, well, I think that every ailment, and I think that depression and anxiety are really big ones in our world, right? But I think it all comes down to self-love. I think it all comes down to beginning to, that process I talked about is beginning to understand that you are not the conditioning that you receive from your parents and the world. I mean, so what happens is, we're born and we're these perfect beings that know we're worthy of love and acceptance and everything we desire. And then our parents, as we just got done talking about with my family, come with their baggage and conditioning. And then they begin to, tell us what needs are not acceptable, what we have to put away, how we have to act, all these different things in order to be loved and accepted and to get our needs met. And so then what happens is, then how can we know any different? We're at the mercy of these adults. So as young people, we think like, oh my gosh, those needs are not okay. I'm going to put them away forever, or I have to act in this way to get love. This is how I have to operate in the world. And so then we think that is our truth. And so I think what happens is that then we're not honoring our truth. We just completely often put it away. And so people who are experiencing anxiety and depression, it really comes down to not honoring ourselves. And what I believe is that, like, when we're not honoring ourselves, it starts to stack up. It's like, there's little small things like not honoring ourselves, or not speaking up, or not, like doing what we need to take care of ourselves. And about 10 of those, I think, is like anxiety, a panic attack. But then if we continue to ignore ourselves after anxiety and panic, then our body starts to shut down and goes into depression. And so really the solution is, beginning to understand that the conditioning, the messages aren't ourselves, and then beginning to cultivate a relationship with yourself, beginning to learn about self-love and how to love yourself. And so that's really the journey is, and once you get to know and love yourself, then these ailments go away. It's a journey, but that's the journey to the freedom from depression, the freedom from anxiety, and one of the biggest things though, is that learning to feel the feelings, right? Because a lot of times people, as humans, we are so frightened of feeling our pain or negative emotions. And then we get out of the habit of feeling what it feels like to feel our positive emotions.
Did you know that Radiate Wellness is more than just a podcast? That's right. We're also a comprehensive, holistic wellness practice. Find out about our services, practitioners, and upcoming events at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. While you're there, visit our podcast page to read more about our great guests and even donate to the podcast. If you like our podcast, you can help in other ways as well, like subscribe or follow us wherever you're listening right now. Tell a friend, a family member, or a coworker about the great content you find here. And if you wouldn't mind, please give us a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, or a positive review. Sounds like a small thing, but it really helps. You might like to know about our Facebook communities while we're at it. We have a free community, the Radiate Wellness Community, on Facebook for news and great free content. Our subscribers group is Radiate You, as in the letter U, but also, well, you. There you'll find curated replays of past classes, guest interviews, and more. And now, back to our podcast and back to our guest.
Absolutely. So really even sounds like the self-love aspect is even more important, is the most important. Yeah.
The most.
Yeah. So the self-love, for people who really have a hard time with that, what would you tell them? And who are just, they're just, for whatever reason, they're just not getting there. What would you tell them?
Yeah. So what I would have them do is to start with a daily gratitude practice. And this is the reason why I recommend this. It's super easy. It's not very threatening. You can pair it with something you're already doing in your day. So you can write a sticky note on your bathroom mirror. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth, when you hop in the shower. You can do it when you walk your dog or when you're driving to work. And the reason why, and you can call it something different if you don't like the word gratitude, you can call it what's working. The reason why this leads to self-love is because you begin to focus on the things that are working in your life. When you're focusing on what's working in your life, it begins to make you feel hopeful. It begins to make you feel like you are worthy of love because you can see that some things are working for you. You start to see like, oh, the universe isn't really against me. There are some things that are actually working for me. And so, and when you first do it, the thing that clients always ask me is like, well, it feels like I'm saying the same things every day. And then maybe they want to give up on that. But it's okay if you're saying the same things every day. But the thing that happens if you keep doing it, you'll begin to see that there's even more things to be grateful for. When you first start, it might be the big things like my health, my family, my house. But then maybe you start doing it when you're walking your dog and you start to see like, gosh, I feel really grateful that it's sunny today. And oh, I just met that really cool person who had a fun dog. That made me feel grateful. And I'm so grateful to look at all the beautiful flowers in spring. And so then these small things start to make you feel grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say none of them are small. All of them are important. I would say that everything, if you do not have anything to be grateful about, you may not be paying attention.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So that's where I would start. The next thing I would say in terms of powerful is mirror work. That's the next most powerful thing that I would prescribe to someone. And this is a funny thing, like super resistant person, I will say, okay, well, let's do an experiment. You do this for 2 weeks straight and you commit to doing it at least once a day. Twice a day would be great. But if you're only going to do it once a day, 10 times in the mirror, and we will come up together with like the things you're going to say. It would be something like, you are so lovable, or I love you so much, you are so worthy. You know, find the ones that really resonate with your heart. And then you look at yourself in the mirror, you really make eye contact, like make sure you see you're really looking at your eyes, and you can try to feel it in your heart. And then you say those phrases to yourself 10 times in a row for 2 straight weeks. I promise you there's going to begin to be a shift.
Oh my God. You know what? That is the 3rd time that I've heard mirror work coming up in the past week. That is amazing. That's got to be powerful.
It's so powerful. And the other thing is it's very vulnerable. So people who are feeling really resistant, it is a little bit scary, and it does make your ego go a little bit crazy. Like you're looking in the mirror and you have to know that your ego is going to start to say things like, oh, look at those lines around your eyes. And that's not true. And you just have to know that the ego is going to come in, but you just continue to focus on looking yourself in the eye and saying the messages that you want your heart to hear. And if you keep doing it, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
And I can imagine that would create real happiness.
It does. It does. It creates self-love, which is what is real happiness is.
That's right. Absolutely. So how can we expect to feel? Maybe this is a broad and very esoteric question, but how can we expect to feel when we create that real happiness?
Yeah, well, I think how you can expect to feel is joyful, content, peaceful, real happiness. And real happiness doesn't mean that you're not going to have difficulties, right? It doesn't mean that as a human being, it doesn't mean that if another person is unkind to you, that it's not going to cause you pain. What it means is that you know how to show up for yourself. You know how to take care of yourself. And so it's like, it's a knowing that you can come back to those feelings of joy and peace, even though there's going to be times where you still feel bad or you have hard things happen in your life, but you know how to show up and take care of yourself so that you can be okay.
Wow. Part of your book, you also talk about, the self-love. There is this, but also sharing love with a partner, sharing love with a special person. And, first, I see this in my practice a lot. When am I going to meet my person? Is this my person or is it not? So many questions about relationship. So what would you say about having love of one's life?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. So, if you want to find the love of your life and you haven't found them yet, then it's a blessing if you're on your own, because that's the most important time for you to be able to develop a relationship with yourself. So how you want to feel is, if you imagine exactly what you desire in your ideal person, you imagine them coming and knocking on your door, you think about how you would feel. Sometimes people, when they think about what they really, truly want from another human and where they are right then in that moment, that person comes and they think, oh my God, they wouldn't want me, or, just these different things. Like they feel like they wouldn't be worthy of that. So you want to think, if that person comes knocking at your door, do you feel worthy? Do you feel ready? Do you feel like, yes, thank goodness you're here. This is what I've been waiting. This is what I deserve. If you don't feel that way, then that just lets you know that you want to spend this time on your own, showing up for yourself like this ideal person would. So you're going to get lonely. You're going to get sad. You're going to have hard times. And you learn how to be with yourself and show up for yourself like your ideal partner would, like your best friend would. And knowing that whatever you're experiencing, whatever, different traumas and healing that you're healing, through, it is okay. It's just a matter of what do you need? How do you need to show up for yourself? And when you can do that for yourself, then you are ready, and that person will likely come. I mean, and we're going to have all kinds of relationships, right? People that maybe aren't our ideal person, but all of them are going to help us get where we're going and be beneficial to us.
Absolutely. This is amazing. So Stephani, have you got any other books out there? Is this your first?
This is my first book. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping to write another one. I'm kind of thinking about some different things that I might like to put out there. And I have a course that is coming up that I'm kind of excited about doing that I'm going to be starting in June.
What is this course?
Yeah, so this course is called Feeling is Healing, and embracing your power through the wisdom of the chakras. So the course is going to be about learning how to heal your body through feeling your feelings, and then also helping people to understand that we've got this natural power, energy system in our body, and like helping them to understand once you remove these blocks and healed your body, then you just, can just use your body to help you manifest and create the life that you want for yourself.
That sounds like an amazing course. Where can people find out about it?
Well, they can find out by going to my website, which is just StephaniGrace.com, information on there. And then I also...
I must add that that's Stephani with no E.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
Very big distinction. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
Yes, so that is an important piece, is that there's no E on the end of my name. And that's the same for Instagram. You can search for Stephani without an E on Instagram. And I do, kind of telling people about the course on there as well, but would love for you to come to either of those things and follow. I do a almost daily mindful minute for people on my Instagram, and often have fun little, inspirational things there for people.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're online at StephaniGrace.com, no E, and then on Instagram as well. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you think is important to mention? Anything else you got going on that you'd like to talk about?
In terms of outside of my book,
yes,
Creating Real Happiness, A to Z.
Cover it all. In other words, did we cover it all? Is there anything else that you've got going on you'd like to let us know about?
Let's see. Well, outside of that right now, those are the main things. But I guess the maybe the important thing that I just want people to know or remind people is that, it doesn't matter how far you've come in terms of, it doesn't matter what your life currently looks like, or if you've had, just so much struggle. I just want everyone to know that it is possible to create real happiness. It is possible to create the ideal life that you envision for yourself. It really, truly is. And it's even though it seems overwhelming, it's really very simple for anyone. It's just a matter of, understanding some things and then being willing to take small steps each day. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I love that. Yeah. And of course, Creating Real Happiness, A to Z is the book. And it really does break it down for you with exercises, easy to do bits that anybody can put into their daily, what I call routine, putting it into your spiritual routine. Stephani Grace, thank you so much for talking with me. And I do think it's really cool that your last name actually is Grace. So, thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been a lot of fun. And I know that this book is going to help many, many people to create real happiness.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be able to talk with you today and be a guest on your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Radiate Wellness is an international community of holistic and alternative healers dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.